Well, the Steelers, they got one of the hardest schedules in the NFL. And it's already looking that they're going to have a losing season. But how can they avoid it? Let's rock, and I'll explain why. Please be sure to like and subscribe on this video for more all-around sports content. For now, enjoy the video. Let's talk football. Alright, what's going on, everybody? My name is Antonio, and welcome back to the All Around Sports Podcast. Today, we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I have recently talked about this team a variety of times. Most recently, in the video I recently did about the Russell Wilson of what he had to say. And I'll leave that link down in the description below. But today I'm going to be going over the ways that they can avoid having a losing season. So, how I will be doing this is I will be looking at their schedule off of my end. And then I will be putting up a little um, glimpse of the schedule on my screen so that everybody can see it. So I'll be going over each matchup and what are my concerns going into each matchup. So but for now, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, please make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. But for now, let's get into the discussion. So the Steelers. I do have this team having a losing season, so I'm going to be trying to be as nice as I possibly can. So I'm going to have the schedule pop up here in just a second. There we go. But if we look at the schedule as a whole, the first 9 games are not a walk in the park. They're just not that easy. I mean, some of them are more easier than others, but it's not going to be easy. You got the Falcons to play against in week 1, which is a huge question mark, especially regarding the whole Kirk Cousins situation. And then they'll go against the Denver Broncos in week 2, the Chargers in week 3, Colts in week 4, then the Cowboys in week 5, Raiders in week 6, Jets in week 7, and then Giants in week 8 before going on their bye, and then going against the Commanders. Then, but some of the games I do have some concerns about are the ones against the Atlanta Falcons. I will be calling that game, so I'll have that link down in the description. But then also is the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, we have lots of questions around them. I could see that one going either way because the first 2 games are on the road. That is going to be a challenge, especially for the Steelers. The Falcons last year ranked 11th in defensive efficiency. But the Broncos, they're going to be relatively questioned because of the rookie Bo Nix. But obviously, Bo Nix is going to get pounded by my team week 1. But other than that, then is the game against Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. And after having to suffer many years of Brandon Staley, now Jim Harbaugh has arrived in LA. As a part of the Los Angeles Chargers. But this would be a huge, big 50-50 because we don't know how good the Chargers are going to be. The Colts, they could be a relatively good sleeper team. I do see them potentially losing that one because Anthony Richardson is right now a lot better than Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And then you also got the Cowboys that are probably more out than all in. Because of all of the releases that they have made, as I have stated a variety of times. But that's going to be a challenge. That one is at home on Sunday night. That is going to be a very fascinating showdown. That's going to be really good. And that one I could see going either way. It pretty much depends on how the Cowboys perform. It's pretty much on how they perform. And then going on the road to Vegas to take on the Raiders. This one I do have some concerns about because the Raiders defense is stronger than it was in last year. Last year, the Raiders were number one in defensive scoring defense for the first time since 2002 when they made the Super Bowl, but would eventually lose to Tampa Bay. But this one does concern me a little because the Raiders are far more better than people are expecting. And I do see it going either way, especially since the Raiders and the Steelers are a huge rivalry. But then you also got the Jets that are, for some odd reason, highlighted as a Super Bowl contender. Which I'm not buying the hype on the Jets yet. I'm not buying it yet. But what I will say is this: the Jets do have a relatively good team around them. This one does bring up some concern because the Jets, anything can happen when you play the Jets. And their defense, the last time the Jets played the Steelers, it was in Pittsburgh, and it's going to happen in Pittsburgh again. And the last time it was Kenny Pickett that was the starting quarterback. But this is going to be a big game, and then they got to go on the road. And stay at home against the Giants the following week before going on to their bye. I do think that the Giants are going to be an easy win, and then they have their bye week, and then open up against the Commanders. This one I could kind of see relatively 50-50 because maybe the Commanders could come out as last year's Houston Texans. Who knows? But then comes but as far as the first 9 games go, if they're going to have a winning season, they got to at least win 6 to 7 of those games if they're even going to have a shot. Because I could easily see them losing in their first 9. I could see them losing to the Falcons. I could see them losing to the Donkeys. I could see them losing to the Colts, the Cowboys, the Raiders, and the Jets. That's all I can see for losses for the Steelers, just the way I see them right now. Then you enter on the 8-game gauntlet schedule, which it's just brutal on what they're gonna have to go against. And Steeler fans, after seeing Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in the preseason, are probably already starting to regret their decision, and especially going against the quarterbacks they're going against. The Steelers are probably regretting that decision. But this is going to be the trickiest span of their schedule. If we look at the schedule, you got to face the Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns in that order. The Ravens, I could see being a very difficult task, although the Steelers have had their number the last few years. I think the Ravens have a high possibility of sweeping the Steelers, but I'm not going to say that. But the Browns, this is a relatively questionable situation because, as we all know, Deshaun Watson has been there for a few years, but has not performed to his highest peak. Which the Browns, they're going to be interesting because they have the defense to beat the Steelers. It's just about the quarterback play that is the big question mark. Then the Bengals, of course, Joe Burrow is back. So we'll, of course, wait and see what happens. But then in week 15, they will have to go against the Philadelphia Eagles. I could see them taking the easy L there. Then the Ravens, and then the Eagles. Not the Eagles, then the Chiefs, and then top it all off with the Bengals. This last 8-game part of their schedule is straight up a punch in the face because this schedule is brutal. There's no easy way out of it. And this 8-game gauntlet comes with no bye week in between. That means if TJ Watt gets hurt in that span, it's pretty much all but concealed. It's pretty much an automatic losing season if TJ Watt does go down. Not that I'm saying that he will. As we all know, we never like to see anybody get injured. But what I'm saying is, if TJ Watt goes down in the last 8 games, then there's some big problems about to brew up. Because I originally have 6 losses from the 9 game part of their schedule, the first 9. But the last few, I have them losing to the Ravens at least once, the Browns at least once, so that would drop them to 8. I could see them getting maybe splitting with the Bengals, which would send them into a losing season. Then, especially when it comes to teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs, the Steelers don't stand a chance against either Philly or Kansas City. They don't stand a chance against either of them. But I'm trying to be as nice as I can. So I will say this. If I were to reduce their record, I would have them losing to teams like the Cowboys. I would have them losing to the Falcons. I would have them losing to the Broncos, the Chargers, the Colts, the Raiders, the Jets, the, the Ravens once, the Browns once, the Bengals once, and also along with the Eagles and Chiefs. That would send them to 12 losses. I'm sorry, I just can't see a way that the Steelers are going to come out of here with a winning record because the last 2 years they've had one of the easiest schedules in the league. The last 2 years they've had one of the 2 easiest schedules in the league. But this is just straight up brutal. This schedule is brutal. You got about 9 games on the road, and then you also got 8 games at home. They got more road games than they do home games, which is when those terrible towels come into place, which the Steelers fans are probably going to need them to wipe away the tears that they're about to suffer this season. I'm trying to be as nice as possible, but it's very hard to because there's no way in my mind that I see the Steelers escaping with a winning record. There's no way I can see it. Now, if the defense was the number one scoring defense in the league, then I would be able to see it. But the fact is that the Steelers are just atrocious. Their offense has not been great since Big Ben left. The Steelers have not had a losing record since 2003, the same year that they had a losing record. I think we're about to see the Steelers have a losing season for the first time in 22 years. Sorry, Pittsburgh, but it just doesn't look bright for you. So let me know in the comments what you guys think down in the comment section below. What parts of the schedule do you guys think is the most brutal for the Pittsburgh Steelers? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Catch you all in the next one. Ciao for now.